It's changed a lot. For me, I've played in a number of different roles. Hired as an associate sales consultant for Steve Erickson, who's actually one of the recon distributors in the Colorado market. It's kind of crazy how things have kind of come full circle with him. I've worked as a sales consultant, as a distributor over the last number of years. I was a big part of Red Bull, Miss Red Bull, and actually I would say, looking back, it's probably one of the best things that ever happened to me. I think that the market was changing enough that the way that we were running our organization, our business, wouldn't have been sustainable. And at the time, if you would have asked me that, my answer would have been no. 3 years later, and the opportunities this organization has provided me, I can absolutely say it was, in hindsight, one of the best things that ever happened. And so for that, I'm very thankful. At the time, I didn't feel that way. I'm also feeling a lot of confidence today. I mean, obviously, the standing ovation and a lot of the text messages and the calls and the motivation that you guys have provided me over the last 5, 6 weeks of interviewing has been huge. And I can't tell you how much that has affected me personally, but professionally, it gives me a lot of confidence leading this group to what we have to do next. And the third piece, the third main feeling is really my sense of humility. This is not going to be an easy job. I know that, and I know that working with the commercial leadership team, working with you, I'm very, very excited about working with you, and I'm also very, very excited about the management team that we have in place. And for that, I'd be very humble in doing what I do, but I appreciate the support along the way. So I want to share, I don't have these slides, I was only given a few hours notice of putting this together, which is probably good for you. You know, my vision, I think a lot of you may have been in the auditorium when we had balloons dropping from the ceiling, the billion-dollar company. We've had many of our leaders, not to say that it shouldn't be a part of our vision, say that we want to be the best and the biggest spine company in the industry. I would love to be $1 billion again, and I'd love to be #1 company. But right now, my vision is to get us back to growth. I know we're capable of doing that. We've got the portfolio, we've got the talent. That's my vision. And if I can impart anything in this role, it's to get us back to growth. 2, I also recognize that we need to look at our cost structure, right? Juan Jose said we've got $166 million in price erosion alone in a single year. We've got to manage our business differently to work through that. And so it's important to make sure that I assist in aligning some of our costs responsibly to be aligned with that of the profit of the organization. And then third, I also just want to hopefully get to a point where we can be a growth driver for you and also for Johnson & Johnson. I think spine can be that. If we can be back to flat and or working at the market pace rate, we will then be a growth driver for spine and for DePuy Synthes and also MD&D. And so that is my commitment on all the efforts that we'll be doing daily. So a couple of the key principles, Juan Jose, you spoke to some of your principles. I've got 3 that I'd like to highlight. 1, I feel as though in talking with a lot of you that we haven't completely integrated our cultures. We came from legacy companies. 3.5 years later, it feels as though we still discuss or describe ourselves as I'm legacy Synthes. I'm legacy DePuy. I'm a direct. I'm a distributor based. 3.5 years later, we're still working through that. And I think from a cultural perspective, that's got to change in order for us to be successful. We've got to change the mentality shift of what that means and what that has meant to us in the past. And from a product presentation perspective, that's also got to change. I've been at society meetings where a surgeon will come up and be discussing a particular legacy product of one of our companies that may not be the ideal and or be the flagship for what we're wanting to sell in the market. We've got double-digit accounts that have no expedient sales. Double digits, right? We need to get better at that. I think that there's a lot of ways that I could utilize your help in breaking down still years later that integration angle. Second, I feel as though with everything that we're going to be challenged to do, we've got to create an environment that's going to create accountability for ourselves, and to his point earlier, performance management. So coming up with ways that we can hold our teams accountable, but also reward them for the work that they're doing. If they grow, then they should be properly rewarded for that, right? And I think that that's all what we want. And the third thing is, I think we also have to have a level of collaboration, both internally as well as externally. I've spent a lot of time over the last 3 years spending time inside the walls of Raynham, and you feel as though it's a we against they, a field against what's going on internally, and I feel that there's ways that we can break that down, right? And would we agree to that? Seeing a lot of heads nod. So I've surveyed a lot of people, and we know that these things could change and, quite frankly, improve. The good news is none of these things are things that are out of our control, right? And then lastly, it's going to be one of my big priorities to make sure that I can continue to work on an organizational structure that utilizes the talent that we have, but also is going to provide the GP profit and production that we need. And I'm going to need some help with that. That is not going to be something that I can do on my own. I've certainly wasted a lot of napkins putting together some thoughts and ideas, but that is something that I'm going to need collectively, some of you. And so expectations after this meeting, obviously, I'm really, really excited about this meeting. This is a bit of a departure for us in Spine as to how we've done some of our business planning in the past. I think we've got a lot of great resources. I see the Med Prof Ed team back there. I see some folks from training and sales ed. I'm really excited about the resources and tools that we've got for you today. The expectation, I know Jason will speak a little bit more to this, is what the process is, but I helped in the interim role of designing what this would look like. And we tried to make it to a point where you guys would have some general sessions, grab some tools, go out and break out, work within your groups and your management teams to apply some of those, come back, get a little bit more information, and then take that back. So hopefully by the time you guys leave, Wednesday midday, you may be on version 2 or 3 of this business plan. But I'll tell you, it's going to be critical that you guys put every ounce of effort into this solid business plan, because it's ultimately what we've got to deliver out, and ultimately what I am now leading our organization and also responsible for. So a lot of expectations, a lot of change, but for me, a lot of excitement. I'm really just so appreciative of everything that you've done for me so far. I'm excited about our future, and with that, thank you again.